One of the main draws of the Legend of Zelda franchise is the arsenal of diverse, sometimes really weird, weapons and items at Link's disposal. Whether you're fighting Ganon's army, trying to find a way to a pesky heart piece, or just going from one place to another, Link's always got the right tool for the job. But if you ask 100 people to list off the top 10 items in the franchise, you're probably going to see a lot of repeats, and frankly there's just no shortage of best Zelda items lists on YouTube, so we're going to try something different. This is the D-list with the top 10 Zelda items that were not on the N64. A Link to the Past is an absolute gem of a game. It's one of the best games on the Super NES, some people might call it the best Zelda game ever made, and it's so beloved that a whole community has come together to celebrate it with a hack that just jumbles up parts of the game for a new challenge called A Link to the Past Randomizer. We just started our own run of it, links in the description. The game has an absolutely massive collection of items, but none are perhaps as well loved for how well they just crack the game open, like the Golden Bee. Throughout the game, Link can randomly encounter bees that will attack him unless they're captured with a bug-catching net and placed in an empty bottle. If Link releases the bee, it'll attack nearby enemies for a short time before getting the hell out of there. The Golden Bee, however, is a very special case. It hits fast and hard and obliterates just about everything on the screen, flying back to Link to get recaptured again and fight another day. If you're good with your net and don't mind reserving a bottle just for this guy, the Golden Bee can clear the way to victory. The original Legend of Zelda is among the hardest in the series. With a sharp difficulty spike, only 4 directions of movement, your arrows cost a rupee just to fire them? But as you progress through the game, you might start to notice a bit of a problem. Sword beams require you to be at full health, the boomerang does nothing to a whole bunch of enemies, and can we talk about the arrows costing a rupee to fire, please? All that pain can finally slip away when you pick up the magic rod. No heart requirements, no rupee requirements, you are good to go on distance attacks for the rest of the game. Even better, when you find the Book of Magic near the end of the game, it'll light shit on fire on contact and basically just replaces the candle outright. And you can use it more than once a room. It's so good. Hell yes. Now, in Link's Awakening, there's an item in the 8th dungeon also called the Magic Rod, but it shoots fireballs outright instead of this sonic wave thing. It's actually a lot closer to the Fire Rod from A Link to the Past, but frankly the end result is the same, so screw it. Magical Rod and Fire Rod, you're both number 9. Fight me. Over the course of the series, the Zelda franchise has slowly given Link more and more platforming abilities to compensate for what started out as a purely ground-level adventure game. A Link to the Past let you jump down from ledges, Link's Awakening gave you an actual jump with the use of Rock's Feather, and Oracle of Seasons doubled that power with Rock's Cape. And despite looking like Dick Grayson right before his parents got killed, Link from Majora's Mask didn't do any cool platforming after 30 seconds into the game. Instead, the 3D game seemed to start from scratch, only recently giving Link the ability to jump freely. Literally, Skyward Sword was the 25th anniversary of the franchise, and they celebrated with a jump button. Like many things Skyward Sword did wrong, they also managed to nerf one of the cooler things Link already was capable of doing: floating. See, you had this sailcloth that was literally just for floating to prevent fall damage, and sometimes going up in the air, but they could have done so much more! They already did it with the Deku Leaf from the Wind Waker, and you could move around while you did it. It was great! Which brings us to our number 8, the Wind Waker. Totally thought I was going for the Deku Leaf, didn't you? It's okay, but the real star of the show is the only item on the list that a game is straight up named after. And with good reason. Not only can this old relic change the direction of the wind to help you fly yourself real far with that Deku Leaf, it was essentially the game's core mechanic for travel around the world map. Unless you wanted to teleport, which, the Wind Waker does that too! How useful is that? It is really hard to overstate just how much this thing kicks ass. Maybe it's cheating to include a game's core item on the list, but fuck it, it's my list. And I like it. Go make your own list. You do it! One of the most important things a Hyrulean adventure can ask for in their arsenal is versatility. Some items in these games just get phased right out of use when a better weapon comes along. Sure, you could use your lantern, but why bother when you've got a sweet fire rod to get the job done? And for the most part, that's the case in the N64 titles when you get the Hookshot. Apparently, adult Link's hands are just too big for the fairy boomerang, so he's got to use this mechanical marvel that should honestly just be ripping his arm straight out of his socket, but we're not going to get into that. It stuns, it grapples, it pulls items to Link, and it pulls Link to stuff. It's great and handy, but oh wait, we can't include N64 items in this list. It's against the rules. It's literally in the title. Look at it. Look, it's right there. So what could we include here instead of the hookshot and the long shot? Well, how about
everything else?
No, but for real, this is about as close as we're going to get to skirting into items on the N64 because number 7 is all the non-hookshot hookshots. All of them. You got the whip from Spirit Tracks and Skyward Sword. You got the grappling hook from the Wind Waker. You got the switch hook from Oracle of Ages. And screw it, it's not a hookshot per se, but the switch hook's confusing cousin, the magnetic gloves, can join the list because they're pretty close, even if they are noisy, and I hate it. And last but certainly not least, honestly the best of the bunch, the claw shot. The only one of these guys so good it turned up in 2 3D titles. Seriously, between swinging from posts, swapping places with random shit via, I don't know, teleportation? How does that work? Pulling yourself over gaps and rappelling down like you're in Mission Impossible, the hookshot family of items has grown substantially in the last 15 years. And every new iteration seems to have a clever new mechanic to distinguish it from the rest. How do I know the hookshots are awesome? They were so good they had to be taken out of Breath of the Wild because they just made the game too damn easy. Sold. Okay, so the hookshot family is great, but let's not lie to ourselves. Sometimes there's an item that's just, why can't I get up there? What the fuck? You noticing a theme in this video yet? A whole hell of a lot of the hardest parts in Zelda games tend to revolve around platforming. In a series that, reminder, began with literally no platforms. So what do you do when you find an item that seems to just be impossible to reach altogether? You reach into your ass pouch, and you pull out a big golden bug. Again. All right, get ready. This is the part where you start getting mad at my list and make angry comments. It's bound to happen sooner or later because number 6 is the Beetle from Skyward Sword.
Thank you!
No, obviously not you, the other Beetle. Oh! I do not get why people hate this item so much. It is immensely useful and it only gets better over time. Gone are the days of, but how do I get up there? If you can see it, you can grab it. And even better, you can use it in combination with your bombs to go all fly to the Valkyries on their asses. It gets a bad rep, but honestly, the Beetle is irreplaceable. I mean, maybe if you could move while you were using the sailcloth, you could... Alright, let's see. We've covered a whole bunch of neat tools, but not really much in the way of actual weapons so far. I mean, sure, the Master Sword is disqualified from the list from the get-go, so that kind of makes things a little bit tougher, but still, surely there has to be a weapon from the series that is so good, so broken in its power, that the game designers had to make a point of making it hard to find in the first place. So fucking awesome that when its game's first teaser trailer was released, it took center stage for the badass closing shot of the whole thing. That's right, number 5 is the Ancient Arrow from Breath of the Wild. This thing is nuts. One of the most powerful weapons in the entire franchise. Honestly, it might actually be the most powerful weapon. Somebody crunch the numbers. It takes down every regular enemy in the game in a single hit, including Guardians. You nail those things in the eye with this and they are down. Now, this thing doesn't come without its drawbacks. If you hit a regular non-Guardian enemy with one of these, they will be gone in a flash, yes, but so will the weapons they're carrying, any ammo or materials or food they had on them too. They're also crazy rare. You either need to craft them from materials farmed from fighting Guardians, or retrieve them from a number of treasure chests at Hyrule Castle, which, yeah, isn't the best place to hang out these days. If it weren't for these cons, the pros of the Ancient Arrows would certainly pull them higher up the list, but you know what, number 5 ain't half bad. Okay. Obviously, speed is not something Link is known for. Most Zelda games have you move around at a constant speed, and even if there's no danger in the room, you just kind of have to take your time to get where you're going. The 3D games might have been a little over-ambitious and sort of missed that while rolling was primarily intended for dodging attacks in battle, they actually moved you faster than just running, so you kind of get into these roll-to-get-there situations. Gotta go fast! They also let you ride horses, which is great, but it always kind of feels like you have to take longer to set up the situation than you're actually likely to use the horses to travel. In Skyward Sword, you got a stamina meter that lets you run for like a whole second, and Breath of the Wild gave you one that you can increase way more, as well as flat-out teleporting. But come on, guys, isn't there an easier way? Can't there be something simpler? Just a way to get from point A to point B really fast? Ah, but of course, our number 4, the Pegasus Boots. God, any game these turn up in, it feels like a race to get to them so you can literally race around Hyrule. You can charge through enemies, knock stuff off walls and bookshelves, destroy piles of boulders, and if you have Rock's Feather too, you can even perform long jumps that get you to really hard to reach areas, or even just flat out sequence break because 90s. The startup time isn't amazing, but charging through enemies is so
damn satisfying.
So good that it becomes a consumable item in the Oracle game so you could use them alongside other items. Hell yes. And on a related note, why only get the thrill of horizontal motion when vertical motion is so cool too? Boom! Rock's Feather. Immediately makes any game it's in more fun. Whee! Jumping is the best, you guys! I love... Oh. Okay, so it doesn't solve everything. But still, this was the first time Link ever had the ability to jump outside, like, the side-scrolling one that isn't actually as bad as anyone says, but kind of breaks the formulas of the rest of the franchise, so it's kind of hard to take into consideration here. And Link's Awakening even celebrated with a bunch of Mario-esque side-scrolling platform sections that feel way more natural and fun than the adventure of Link, so why are there so few of them? I'm getting off track. Look, Rockstar, there's the shit, such the shit that in Oracle of Seasons, they let you upgrade it to our actual number 3, Rockscape. Oh, this thing is so satisfying to use and is pretty much the best part of Seasons. You jump and get the sweet double jump that you can, like, bend? The platforming gets kind of funky with this thing. I love it. It even comes back in the Minish Cap as a standalone item because it is so much fun. I think it's pretty well relegated to the 2D games at this point, since the 3D games tend to prefer slow descent over actual lift and flight, which brings me to our next item. Paraglider from Breath of the Wild is such an incredibly useful all-purpose item that I'm not going to waste anyone's time trying to hype it up. It hypes itself up. It lifts itself up if you can find updrafts, which are easy enough to find or even make if you have any flaming weapons on hand. It has all the benefits of the Deku Leaf without any of the reliance on wind, and combined with Link's basic ability to climb walls, this thing is the cornerstone to what makes Breath of the Wild such an absolute gem of a game. It's like the dev team sat down, looked at every single way the Zelda games have tried to add elements of platforming, and said, oh, hey, wait, what if we, just made Link Knuckles? At which point an intern smiled and sighed and took down his homemade poster for The Legend of Zelda and Knuckles Plus, featuring Dante from Devil May Cry. The Paraglider is just amazing. It honestly barely needs an introduction or justification. If you played Breath of the Wild and someone says how good the Paraglider is, it's like, yeah, it is. It's fucking great. So what could be better than that? So you've made it to the end of the game. You're all stocked up with your potions and your heart's full, a fairy or two by your side, and this cute girl you just met who really wants to shoot this guy with light arrows. She might have some anger issues. You might want to look into that. Anyway, you square off against Ganondorf, or maybe even Ganon himself, and the fight is coming to a head, and you stab him, and then seal him away. Or you stab him, and he turns to stone? Or Zelda comes out and, nukes him? What happened there? Why is it so hard to just kill this guy? If only there was a weapon that could take down Ganon for good. Oh wait, there is. Our number 1 item in the Legend of Zelda franchise is the Silver Arrow. This thing is an absolute beast. In the original game, they cost a single rupee just like the regular arrow, and they do double damage over the traditional variant. Cool, but not insane. Where these things really shine, though, are in A Link to the Past. They're not meant to be found until the very end of the game, but these things will one-hit kill just about everything in their path, including some bosses. And unlike in the original game, they don't cost a thing to fire, and any arrows you pick up from that point forward are silver arrows. And the most important thing about them? They kill Ganon dead. I mean, sure, he does eventually get better, because Ganon, but both times it requires a tedious ritual where blood from the one who killed him is needed to bring him back, and both times it fails anyway. In the Oracle games, he gets brought back half-cooked, and in the Adventure of Link, he doesn't get brought back at all, unless you get a game over. And that's why the silver arrows are the best item in Zelda that aren't on the N64. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed this video. I want to keep making more episodes of the D-List, but I could actually really use you guys' help coming up with some more ideas. I got one more episode I'm working on that should be good to go this November, but I find this series to be a really fun twist on the traditional top 10 thing. It's kind of a fun challenge to try to figure out lists with these super severe caveats. So if you can think of anything you'd like to see me tackle on here, feel free to leave a comment below. It doesn't have to be video games. The first episode we did was about Christmas movies. The only real requirements are that there has to be some huge disqualifier like the N64 in this video. And the available options need to exceed, 15, 20 at the very least. It can't be, who are the top 10 Doctor Who lead actors before the show came back? I think that's, exactly 10, unless you start talking about, some really weird episodes, but that kind of spoils the fun anyway. Either way, though, thanks for watching. Feel free to check out the other D-List video and the legendary Let's Play on the channel. We started a stream for A Link to the Past randomizer, and we've got more games coming this Monday. We got a Patreon if you'd like to help support the show and the channel over at patreon.com/dpatfm. There's gonna be a link for that in the description. I don't know, this outro is going on forever. Editing Rick is gonna hate me for this. I'll see you next time. Bye.